this question on the beam. So we've got a vertical reflection and a vertical compression on this one. The vertical reflection will multiply your y values by -1. The vertical compression will multiply your y values by 1/4. Together, sometimes we do these together, our y values are going to get multiplied by -1/4. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our original graph. Can you see that 0, 0 is a very important point on our original graph because that's where it sort of changes shape. It's not a vertex because it's not a parabola, but it's kind of like the most important point on the absolute value. Okay? And what we're going to do as we do more and more like complicated math with things, we're going to sort of develop this idea. We can write down points on our original graph, like I have 0, 0. I have lots of other points, but I really like, for example, this point. I like 4, 4. I also don't mind this point here, -8, 8. And the reason I like those points is because my observations tell me I need to multiply, my y values are going to get multiplied by -1/4. So I strategically chose points that would avoid fractions. Like I could have picked 2, 2, but when I multiply by 1/4, I would get a fraction. Not wrong, but maybe it's nice to avoid the fractions if we can. Can you see that multiplying by 1/4 is same as dividing by 4? So if I multiply the first point, the y value wouldn't change because it's 0. But the second one, my x value is not changing, but my y value is going to become -1. And in the third point, my y value was an 8. If I multiply my y coordinate by a -4, it's going to be a -2. So this is sort of the algebra part. I'm taking what I noticed. The algebra says you need to multiply your y coordinates by -1/4. The negative for the reflection, the 1/4 for the compression. Now, that's going to change point 0, 0 to 0, 0. Well, I guess that means it didn't change. But it's going to change the point 4, 4 to 4, -1. And it's going to change the point -8, 8 to -8, -2. So now we can plot these points. I would get you to plot them first on your own, but then a bunch of you would make a mistake. This is the mistake you might make. Should I make the mistake too? Oh, some of you just noticed you made the mistake, right? This is a mistake that people do. Doesn't that look right? But it's going by 2s. Ah! So this point should actually move up. Oh, oh, it's true. Oh, there we go. It should be there, right? And this point should be there. Right? If I got you to do it on your own, you'd probably plot them in the wrong spot. There's our graph. Oh, surprise, surprise, I read the question again. I should have not read it this time. I could have skipped the domain and range if I didn't read it. But it asks for the domain and range of each one. So in our original, the domain and range, I'm going to do it this way this time. Domain is everything. The range is bigger than or equal to 0. And on my blue one, the domain is still everything, but the range now is y is less than or equal to 0. Okay? So, the way that this question is written, they made it a little bit easier on you. Okay? on your exam or on a quiz, this is the same question as the following. So I'm going to rewrite the question without the domain and range stuff, just the graphing part. I'm going to rewrite the question, and I want you to think if you recognize that it's the same question. Here's the... That's the same question. Do you see that it's the same question? Because it was an absolute value, then you have to know the red graph on your own from your head. And then you would sketch. I'll give you the questions for this one. Is just question number 3.